Welcome back to IGN Live at E3 2017. I'm Max Scoville, and I'm joined by Dan Tangway and Jen O'Neill from Vicarious Visions, and you are here to talk about Crash Bandicoot Sane Trilogy. It's Crash Bandicoot. He's back. Like, people got all worked up when so-and-so walked out with a shirt on, and now we're getting a full... This is not just a remaster. Please, give me the whole spiel about this.
It is a remaster, but from the ground up. I mean, every single thing has been recreated, lovingly recrafted in our own engine. Crash Bandicoot looks better and furrier than ever. We invested in some new technology to make the fur pop, to make all the graphics look incredibly detailed. And we're excited to be here at E3 to show it off.
Look at those Wumpa fruits. They're so succulent. Now, like, this is one of my huge kind of questions here is, have you retooled the controls at all? Because obviously you can remaster the hell out of a game, and then it might still control a little bit like it was 1996.
Right. So as Jen was saying, this is a special kind of remaster. We actually started with the original gray mesh level geometry, and that was it. And so on top of that, you know, we've built the graphics and the audio, but in terms of gameplay and control, we had to build that all from the ground up again.
Okay.
And so it really was up to us to decide how it was going to control, but, you know, obviously we wanted to control as much and as close to the original as possible. So yeah,
we spent a lot of time doing a ton of user testing. We had fans who had been fans with the franchise from the beginning of time, you know, the speedrunner types, as well as brand new, you know, entrants, you know, new kids.
That's always kind of the concern with, you know, because adults might have this wonderful, these rose-tinted glasses of nostalgia, but, you know, you throw it in a kid's hands and they're like, this isn't Skylanders, you know?
Yeah.
And you guys also worked on Crash and Skylanders, so you had kind of
that we did.
Okay. And you've got a very special announcement this morning that not only is Crash Bandicoot playable, so is Coco.
That's right. Coco Bandicoot is playable in all 3 levels now. Before she was just
all 3 games.
Sorry, all 3 games. Yes, thank you. Sorry, more than 3 levels. There's like 80 plus. Anyway, so you know, in the original Warped, she was only playable in a few levels, some of the vehicle levels, as well as with her Tiger Purra. But now we've got her in on-foot levels, and she's not just a reskin of Crash. We were able to spend some time to do a full set of animations that are all her own movesets.
Oh, wow.
So hopefully we'll be able to show you some of that soon.
Cool. Yeah, we've got a bunch of B-roll. We're just kind of rolling, and we're just, you know, talking about Crash Bandicoot. Can you talk a little bit about just sort of the community and the fan reactions and everything? Because I mean, Crash Bandicoot was the PlayStation's original mascot.
Yeah, no, the fan reaction's been amazing. It really has. And, you know, we knew Crash was big, certainly. How big? That was the surprise. I mean, we like Jen was saying, we've got a lot of fans on our team. You know, some of the older folks like myself are more nostalgic fans, but then you've got fans who grew up with this game. That was part of their childhood, you know, first mascot character they ever played.
He's got the megaphone outside of the Nintendo headquarters.
Right.
Yep.
And so, you know, the team's been really driving to make sure we hit that quality. So we knew it was big. But then, you know, to give you an example, I was in New York City recently, meeting with some friend I hadn't seen in a while, and meeting his girlfriend for the first time. And she's like, "Oh, what do you work on?" And I'm like, "Video games." And she's like, "Oh, what video game?" Like, she's like, no, don't worry, though. I don't play video games. It's okay. You know, I'm not going to know what you're talking about. I go, "Crash." And she's like, "Oh, I love Crash."
Oh, that's awesome.
So, I mean, it's like, it has that amount of reach, I think, where it's just so many players from 20 years ago played this game.
I'm really hoping that it brings back some of those lapsed players, you know, so we can, you know.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's
the fan base.
easy to jump into. It's friendly and familiar, and it's one thing that's really cool is also like the people who grew up playing it, like they have kids now, so it becomes this thing that gets passed down.
Yeah,
absolutely.
We hear that a lot too, and we've had people working on it who have kids at the office, and they'll bring their kids in, and they'll just sit down and start playing it, pick up and go.
Yeah.
Now you've been adding some stuff to the game in addition to Coco. Actually, you know, let's talk about Coco for a little bit. Like, what's
there she is.
Yeah, well, she, like I said, she's got her own set of moves. You know, her spin attack is a spin kick. She has a bit more grace. a bit more sass. When you fail, she'll turn back and shake her head at you.
She really doesn't like to lose.
Yeah.
But
She's
we
very
found,
competitive.
yeah, we found that as we were developing her, we really needed to flesh out her personality a little bit more, because it's not only just her as an NPC or her as driving vehicles, but she's going to have death animation, she's going to have timeouts, and she's going to react to the world in the same way that Crash does, but she has to do it in her own style, her own flair. So.
And this, this is really a gift to the fans. We really didn't have time to add any new features to the game,
we didn't.
But because we're fans ourselves, a number of team members really wanted to make it happen. She's such a favorite. So basically, in the spare time, we do game jams from time to time where we get to experiment on different kinds of mechanics. And there were some team members who brought her to life in a prototype, and we were all bought in.
That's
after
really cool.
that.
And then once we were all bought in, we said, okay, now how do we actually get her into the game? So we not only built her out, but spent a lot of time to make sure we were integrating her in the right way. Because this is still a remaster, and we want to make sure that there are some fans who may not want to play with her and just want their original experience. They can have that.
Yeah, it's
and so So we've set it up in such a way that Coco is optional. You can go up to her in a hub and unlock her, and then you can swap between her and Crash at any point in the hub. But if you want to have that original tried and true experience, you can have that too.
Yeah. So most recently that I think saw Crash was in Uncharted 4, when there was that little snippet of that first level, and it was so weird to see a PlayStation 1 game running in a PlayStation 4 game. Do you have any sort of retro skins or the original character models if people want to look at them?
We don't.
Okay.
But certainly fans have requested it.
Yeah,
so
they could play Uncharted 4.
We'll see. We'll see.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, you rebuilt the game from the ground up. Now, I'm very curious. One thing that didn't exist officially back in 1996 was speed runs, and you guys have added time trial modes?
So the third game actually had time trials, which was a great innovation at the time. And a lot of fans, even to this day, will play time trials in the original games and post their footage to YouTube. And so we had to put in time trials, and then we thought, well, why not bring that to the other two games? And I think for the really hardcore fans, this is probably one of the most exciting features for them, because now they can prove their mettle and show off, and Crash 1 and 2 to show off how skilled they are. But not only that is we can actually announce now this week that we have support for online leaderboards as well.
Nice.
So not only can you store and show off your times locally, if you're playing couch co-op with your friends, but you can compete with them online or with strangers to get the top time and any of, I think it's 80+ levels.
Oh,
it's
wow.
Crazy. Yeah.
Now, obviously, when you get a game, you have to go through it to unlock stuff. Are you able to pick and choose which part of the trilogy you jump into first?
Absolutely.
Anyone.
And are the levels aren't completely unlocked, right? You have to still play through them.
You'll still have to play through.
Yeah, you got to play the game. Yeah. Now, one thing I have to ask about. You know what? No, I'm gonna come back to that. I have one burning question that I will get to. But I wanted to talk just. We see with games that Naughty Dog makes, they frequently work in trilogies, and there's this increasing sort of just exponential complexity with what they're throwing at it. For people who maybe aren't familiar with the nuances of the different entries in the Crash trilogy, how do the games differ, would you say?
Well, it's interesting because they did learn a lot of lessons, and actually I think, while some of the gameplay and progression got a little more complex between the games, they actually got a little more accessible. And Naughty Dog actually reduced the frustration as they went from 1 to 2 to 3. And it's just small things, little conveniences about how they're communicating, how many crates you've picked up, or how they're doing bonus rounds or something like that. So it was really cool about the trilogy we're putting out, is we have the benefit of 20 years of hindsight.
Right.
We're doing them all at once. So we can say, well, you know what, this thing really worked in 3. Let's kind of make that work in 1 now, so that, everything's just a little more convenient, has a little more quality of life to it.
Okay. Yeah, that was.
I have to say, one of the things that I really appreciate personally is there was a dynamic difficulty adjustment that existed in the later games that we brought all the way through to the first game. So just when you're getting really frustrated and you can't make that jump, we add the checkpoint crates earlier on.
The game gives you a little bit extra help.
That's nice to hear, because honestly, I did not do well in that that sequence in Uncharted 4. I got scolded by Nate's wife. Now, what was I going to say? Voice cast. You've got new voices in here?
Yeah, so we had to re-record all of the voiceover. Just the original quality on disc just wasn't quite up to the quality level that we wanted. So when we could, we got the original actors from the trilogy, but some of them weren't available. And so in those cases, we actually found new actors, but these were actors that have worked with Crash Bandicoot before. So everyone has some tie to the franchise in the cast. And they sat down and re-recorded the voiceover and had a blast with it. And I think the results show.
Okay, well, that brings me to my big burning question. There's a lot of nostalgia for Crash, and there's another character who Vicarious Visions has also worked on, whose game came out 2 years later, is a little fellow named Spyro. And they've worked together. Obviously, Skylanders was originally sort of a Spyro thing, and Crash showed up there. Are you aware of how stoked people are for a Spyro return?
We are certainly becoming aware of that. Yes,
we've been reading about it.
Yeah,
it's there. I mean, you had a crossover for, I think, was that a Game Boy Advance? There was purple and orange.
That's right. Yeah,
wow,
we worked on that.
Yeah, I did some research. I did my Crash Bandicoot deep digging. But yeah, I mean, obviously you're not going to confirm or deny, but you're aware that people do want Spyro, right?
Oh, we are quite aware of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of asks for different things, you know, ever since we started working on this. So just keep asking, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool that we get these great new, huge, emergent, groundbreaking developments in games, but sometimes you want that comfort food, but remastered and delivered in 4K, which is also something you're doing with this.
Right.
You've got PlayStation Pro support,
yes,
right?
That's right. We have PlayStation Pro support, and we've enhanced the resolution of the game for PlayStation Pro.
Yeah.
Okay. And so you can just really see the full detail on Crash's beautiful fur.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you can take a closer look at all those delicious Wumpa fruits.
Yeah.
When is this out in the wild, and when can people get their hands on it?
June 30th. So, you know, this is one
like
of the
18,
like
17 days.
super fast. You can pre-order now. You know, if it's available. It's been selling out.
Yeah.
So
well, yeah.
So definitely pre-order now. June 30th. It's one of the first games being featured at E3 to come on out. So if you're jonesing for an E3 title,
there you go.
It's coming.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much for coming by. Crash Bandicoot, guys. I get to talk about Crash Bandicoot for my job. I like that. Thank you guys so much for joining me. We have plenty more coverage from E3 coming up very soon, so do not go anywhere. We will be right back.